Hey everybody, my name is Michelle Bateman and I'm the founder and CEO of Soul Journey. I'm a transformational soul coach and a speaker and a facilitator. And I love working with women to empower them to discover who they are, remove the blocks that are getting in their way so that they can create a life that they love. I believe that we all deserve that. We all should wake up feeling fulfilled and excited about the life that we're living. But let's face it, the reality is often we show up for everybody else, we give to everybody else, and we put ourselves last. And so what happens is we become lost, we feel unfulfilled, we feel like we're living this rat race of life. You just get up and do the thing, go to bed and do the same thing over and over again. And I hear from so many women that they feel lost and they feel unfulfilled and they're not really sure where to turn and what's getting in the way. They just know that something's missing. And so I want to share with you kind of my journey of where I started and how I ended up doing what I'm doing. So for me, about 7 years ago, my life fell apart for the second time. And I was going through a divorce. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had two young daughters. And, I was in this really empty, lonely second marriage. And I had no idea how I was going to provide for myself, where I was going to live, how I was going to create a safe home for my daughters to grow up. And there was so much fear and uncertainty around that. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. And before I left the marriage, I remember laying in bed one night and I was having this thought. And the thought was, I wanted to smother my husband with a pillow. And so I didn't do it. He's safe, he's alive. But that was my wake up call that I had to change, that I didn't know who I was anymore. This bitter, angry, disillusioned woman that I had become wasn't me. I used to be loving and happy and outgoing and friendly and fun. And I had just turned into this bitter, unhappy person because I had an idea for my life and my future. And this was not it. And the pain of that was so overwhelming for me. And no one teaches us what to do when life doesn't go our way. We learn these things in school, but we don't learn the essential things that we need to navigate life. And life happens and we make plans and they don't happen and there's pain and there's loss and nobody teaches us how to get through that. And so for me, I was super blessed at the time that I had a friend who was dying of ALS. And he was happier dying than I was living my life. And I was like, holy crap, I must be doing something wrong. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know where to turn, but I knew that there had to be a way. If you can be happy dying, there's a way that I should be able to figure out how to be happy in my own life. And so that led me down a path of, reading books and listening to podcasts and taking courses and working with healers. All of these things I began to do for myself to try and figure out how to be happy, how to move past the pain and the loss and the disappointments that I had in my life. And as I began to do that, and as I began to learn, what I discovered was what I thought, what I believed, and how I spoke was what was responsible for creating my reality. And so as I began to change the things that I believed and said and how I showed up, that changed my reality. And so from going from being a stay-at-home mom with little girls to being at the right place at the right time, landing the job of my dream. And then again, being at the right place at the right time with the right opportunities, ending up finding a home for my daughters and I that was way more amazing than I even dreamed we could have had. And then a year later, buying my own house, which again, especially in the market, I never thought was possible for myself. And so what I realized is as these things happened, what I changed was what I was saying. So before I used to say my life sucked. And of course, my life sucked. But when I changed what I was saying to, I believe even more amazing things are going to happen for me, they did. And they showed up and they were even more amazing than I imagined. Everything that showed up surpassed my dreams, surpassed what I thought was possible. And then I found healthy love again. And so I had had everything that I'd ever wanted in life in the span of a year. And what I realized in that is nobody teaches us how to do these things. No one teaches us the tools and the skills we need to do that. And when I realized that when you apply those things to your life, your whole life can change, that's when I discovered what my passion and purpose was to teach this to other women, to help other women understand the things that are getting in the way of the life that they desire. Because we all want to be happy. We all want to have fulfilling relationships. We all want to have, success in our careers and our business and feel abundant and valued and that we're serving a purpose in the world. And so that's when I took the huge leap of faith to create Soul Journey. And that's a whole nother story on its own of, being a single mom with teenage girls that shop at Sephora, like they had a lifestyle that they were quite accustomed to. And so to just say I'm going to be self-employed didn't seem realistic to me. It didn't seem like an option for me. And so even though I had this dream, I kept it back because I had the belief that I couldn't do this full time on my own. And the universe believed something different and had a different plan for me. So in that, I lost my job. And it was coming to the point where we'd had a partnership change, and I went from loving this job to being a place that I struggled, and there was a lot of negativity and toxicity and all of that, and it was really taking a toll on me to the point that I started looking for other work. However, that process got expedited when I, out of the blue, lost my job. And I thought, okay, universe, there is another plan. There's going to be another job. I trust. I have faith. This is going to be okay. And I did not get one email, one text message, one response to any job that I applied for. And I had experience in senior management at the time, so I figured it would be easy for me to find another job. So what I realized in that thing that I thought was traumatic and, my life taking another turn that I didn't anticipate, it was such a gift. It was such a gift because I was taking too long, and the universe said, here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to show up in the world. And we're going to take away all of the other opportunities for you to divert that so that this is your only option. So I took the leap of faith and I did it. As a single mom, I said, I'm going to start my business because I believe that helping women understand what's getting in the way and changing, key things in life can create an entirely different experience for the rest of your life, that was so worth it to me. And so what I knew for myself is it was the journey. It wasn't the destination. It wasn't, you arrive at a space. It's this journey that we take. And I believe that we're not broken, that we don't need fixing. We just have all of these things in life that pile up and get in the way that we use as blocks and barriers to protect ourselves. And so as you can begin to remove those one by one, you can stand in the truth and the alignment and use the gifts that you were given in this world to bring your gift and message out into the world. And so that's what I did. And I remember when I hired my business coach, that was such a scary decision, being unemployed and hiring this coach, but I knew that I couldn't create what I needed to on my own. I needed someone to teach me and I needed to learn. And so in doing that, it was such a scary thing. And she said to me, starting your own business will be the biggest personal growth journey you ever take, because whatever's going on in you is going to show up in your business. So you really have to work on you. And I think you guys know that as entrepreneurs, we have to do the work on ourselves. And so, I think some people are in different journeys of where they are in their business, knowing that their personal development is key to their success. And some people are maybe just opening up to that idea. So that's what I do, and that's what I'm most passionate about, is just really helping women come into who they are, because I believe we should all sparkle and shine in the world and own who we are. And so many times we hide and we feel less than, and we don't feel good enough, and we compare ourselves. And so, one of the things I teach is self-love and confidence, because that directly translates to how you show up in business. So for me, I'm a very extroverted, confident woman, and I want to do business with other women like that. And so confidence allows people to trust you, and they want to work with women that feel confident and that feel empowered. And then that gives them permission to do the same. So In saying all that, everything is so intermingled in business. So your personal beliefs, your thoughts, all of those things are all so connected to our success as entrepreneurs and as humans. And so it's really important to look at all of those things. So today I want to share with you awareness about what you believe and how that creates your reality. Because sometimes we don't even know what we believe because it's been so subconsciously imprinted in us on so many different levels throughout our whole lifetime, we don't even really know that it's even there. And so I want you to understand that your mindset can limit your success in the biggest ways. So really getting clear on what's going on up here to help create the success that you want to have in your business. And I believe they're totally interconnected. And so, some of the things that we believe that then show up in our reality, in our space is, some people believe that the world is filled with assholes and they encounter them in traffic and at the checkout and at the grocery store, and they just constantly experience what they believe. I believe the world is good and filled with beautiful people. And I experience beautiful people all the time. And I went from a super stressful, toxic life in the past before I did this work. And now I don't encounter people like that at all. I don't encounter them out in public. I don't encounter them in my circle. I don't encounter them in my business. I'm so blessed to have the most amazing humans show up in my world because I believe that that's the life that I have. And I believe that's the world that we live in. And so I attract that to myself. Also believing people think, life is hard. And if you believe life is hard, it's going to show up hard. And you're going to think that you have to work hard in order to have money and to be successful. And so all of these beliefs completely shape the reality that we get to exist in. So we're going to take some time to look at what are those beliefs I have for myself? Where did they even come from? Because most often they're handed down to us from our parents, from family and friends, from society, from media. Like there's so many messages that we get that we don't even understand that we're taking in. And so we need to explore what we've been told and the beliefs that we have created, which then create the reality that we live in. And so I wanted to share some of those with you guys today, because especially as women, we encounter a whole different group of messages of what success looks like for women. And then those things that we hear create blocks around money and success and abundance. And they run in the background, but we're not aware they're there. Kind of like when your phone's not working and then all of a sudden you look and you've got like 20 things open running in the background and you have to close them all. It's kind of like that these beliefs are running in the background and it's affecting the performance that you have in the current moment. So then let's looking at those to see, what do I need to close? What do I need to reprogram? How do I need to think and believe differently so that I can create a different level of success for myself? And so here's some of the things that we hear as women. Money isn't for women. Men have all the power. Rich women are bitches. Divas are unliked. Rich people are greedy. There's never enough money to go around. You have to work hard for money. And my worth equals how much I make. And those are just a few. But if you can see that how hearing those messages create how we might show up in the world. So I want to ask you, was money something that was a hush topic growing up? Is that something that you didn't talk about? Or were there perhaps lots of arguments and fighting about money because maybe there wasn't enough? And there's so many things that are imprinted from our childhood and our past around money. And I was at an event in December about money and women. And it was, a lot of people got up and they told stories about how they, didn't have enough and how they had lack and how there was never enough. And then there was a few people that got up and had the opposite experience and said, I was shamed and put down because my family did have money. And I was shamed by my peers. I was shamed by my teachers and my principal at school. That my family lived in a really nice house. It wasn't a mansion by any means, and we weren't like the richest people, but we were very, very comfortable. And she would hear comments at school from the principal and the teachers, and they would look down on her and say, oh, is your limo picking you up today? Or is your driver picking you up today? In a really condescending way. And she said, I felt embarrassed and I felt so much shame around that. So knowing that shame can come from abundance and shame can come from lack. There's many different ways we can feel like shame and insecurity around money and how we grew up. And so, for me, I had to really look at where were these beliefs? What was I actually believing on a conscious level? And then what was I also believing on a subconscious level? Because what I realized when I did a process that I use with my clients called the 5 magic questions, and it's 5 questions that I use to get to the root of what's keeping you stuck. So what is that subconscious programming that's running under the surface that you're not aware of? What is that? And then how do we shift that? And so in working with my coach at the time, and I would have argued with her till I was purple that I did not believe this. This was not a limiting belief for me at all about money. And all of a sudden I burst into tears. And I was like, I thought we were talking about business. Why am I crying? And I had this subconscious belief that women that are successful and make it to the top aren't liked. They're bitches and they're alone in life. And if you think of how that's portrayed in media and movies, the girl at the top, the woman at the top is usually portrayed as a bitch and she's alone and nobody likes her. And, she's kind of the outcast. And so, the men are threatened by her, the women are threatened by her, and she just doesn't really feel safe anywhere. And although that wasn't the model of the people that I followed, I love Oprah and I love Rachel Hollis and I love all these heart-centered women that are successful in business and in life. However, over my lifetime, the subconscious imprinting of that was so powerful that my subconscious said, we don't want you to have that pain. We don't want that to be the reality for you, to be this person that's alone and not liked. So we're going to subtly sabotage your success so that you don't ever end up in that position because we don't want you to become that person. And it was such an eye-opener for me to realize that I wasn't fully showing up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later of, how not fully showing up in little places are actually blocks and beliefs that we have that are keeping us stuck. So are we afraid to succeed? Are we afraid to be alone? And, I didn't want to be alone and I didn't want to be without a relationship and someone special in my life. So of course, then I wasn't going to be as successful as I could with that belief program operating in the background. And so it was so freeing to really realize that that was what was driving my behavior and my actions, to then be able to switch that and change what I believe and what I know to be true. So I just want to ask you some questions about what it was like for you growing up, things to consider, things to really look at. Where did all of these things come from? Because our relationship to money is directly correlated to our success and our abundance that we have, right? And we all grow up with different upbringings and different beliefs. And so really getting clear on what that was like for you and how that imprinted and how that creates now your reality. So do you feel uneasy and stressed talking about money in general? Because money is just a tool, but it comes with so much emotion and so much energy, right? Some people fought about money all the time. Some people, it was hush hush and you never talk about money. Don't ever ask somebody how much they make. You don't talk about money. And, things are beginning to change in our society. But back in the day, back in our parents' generation and our grandparents, like, you didn't talk about money. You didn't talk about how much you earned. You didn't talk about being, wealthy or abundant or anything like that. It was just never, it was so taboo to talk about. And so did you struggle and experience lack growing up? Did you have the belief that we were going to run out or that there was never enough? or the reality that there wasn't enough, and maybe there was days you guys didn't eat, or you had to ration the food that you had growing up because there just wasn't enough. And like I said too, there's the opposite of that, of people being shamed for having money and having wealth and being embarrassed and needing to hide that. And so there's, it's a dual-edged sword, to so to speak, that, you can experience the same amount of pain on either end of that. Did people talk about, oh, it must be nice to have those things, and look negatively on the people that had things because, your family didn't have that? I remember, my dad would use that saying all the time, must be nice. And I remember going for drives. We would go for drives sometimes with my dad. And if we were driving past a nice neighborhood and there was a big house and we said something about, oh, that's a really nice house, my dad would take offense to that. And because we were admiring a house that was, bigger than ours, he thought that that meant that ours wasn't enough. And we grew up very comfortable. We had a very nice house. It was over 2,000 square feet. It was beautiful. It wasn't rich and wealthy, but it was definitely very comfortable. And I don't ever remember, thinking we never had money or there wasn't enough for food. Like, we didn't go without. But I never thought we were wealthy. But my mom is very, very frugal, very conscious of money. And I think, that's a great thing. And she taught me how to be really responsible with money, and that's great. But there's like a fine line between, I don't know if we have enough, or just believing that we do have enough. And so understanding what that looks like for you now, and what did that look like for you growing up? And so, as we're adults now, are you partnered with someone who has different views and strategies about money? Because not only now is it your own relationship with money, but if you're partnered or coupled with somebody, or if you're in business with a partner and you have different beliefs in money, where is that going to create tension and conflict? And understanding how you each show up differently, and then learning some tools to be more on the same page. And so I want to ask you, do you feel and experience stress talking about money? Does that create friction and conflict in either your business relationship or your personal relationship, or even with your relationship with yourself? And then I want you to ask yourself, do you avoid? Do you avoid talking about money? Is it something that you would just rather sweep under the rug and pretend that it's not even there because it's so stressful for you? Or is it easy for you to talk about? Is it something that doesn't stress you out? So just knowing what that is and how that shows up for you is really, really going to be a key part of this whole process for yourself. And so I have an assignment for you that I want you to do right now. So I want you to write down in your notebook on the left-hand side, I want you to write down at least 5 money messages that you received growing up on the left-hand side of the page. And so getting clear on, maybe your grandma said, good girls don't earn money, or, women should stay at home, or men are always more successful, or you're going to have to work hard for everything you do. So really getting clear on some of those key messagings that you heard growing up, or maybe since you've started your business, that aren't super positive. And so as you write them down, I want you to think about them. And I want you to be present to how your body feels as you're writing them down. And where in your body do you feel that unease as you write each one down? So I'm going to have you pause the video in just a moment after I explain what I want you to do, to give you time to really sit with this and really work through these for yourself, because it's really, really important. So as you write down, minimum 5, but if there's more that come to mind, I really want you to write them all down. Write them all down as much as you can. And I really want you to be present to the feelings and the emotions that come with that. And then what I want you to do is draw a line down the center of the page. And now I want you to ask yourself, is what I wrote down actually true? And if it's not, I want you to write down what you either want to believe or what you believe to be true instead of that. Right? So that's where there's the reframe. That's where we're going to turn it around to create the new belief is, what is it that I consciously want to decide to believe about this limitation that's been imposed on me by other people in my life? And so this is where you're going to need to work on a daily basis to create these new beliefs for yourself. So go ahead and pause the video. I want you to write it all down. Remember to check into the emotions of it. And when you're done, I want you to unpause it and come back to me. Okay? All right. Welcome back. So I'm guessing you did the assignment. If you didn't, go back and do it. Not only tell you once. So how did that feel for you? What was your experience of that? Michelle just sent me a message. Thanks. So I want you to ask, what was that like for me? How is this affecting your business now that you've seen where you have some of these beliefs? And so we're going to go through some of the things that might be keeping you stuck from being successful and having that abundant relationship with money that we so desire. But there's so many things that are getting in the way. So ask yourself, do you fully believe in the services that you offer? And be honest. Now ask yourself, do you feel worthy of making the amount of money that you want? And is it a hell yes? Or is it a maybe yes? Because those are different. And then do you often give away your services for free, for less than what you're worth? So let's stop for a minute and we'll kind of break those three down, and we'll go in chunks of what those mean for yourself. So you can't fully show up and be confident and sell your services to someone else if you don't fully believe in that. So we have so many beliefs of, who am I to do this? Or somebody knows more than me, or I'm not the expert. And so that holds us back. And so if we're not believing in us, it's really hard for other people to believe in us and say yes to our product and service and what we're offering if we don't fully believe in that. So really look at, am I fully in alignment and fully believing that what I am sharing makes a difference, that there is value, and to really stop doubting yourself, because you have to step into the alignment of believing that what I'm doing is worthy and valuable, and it's worth the exchange of what I'm looking for monetarily. And so that's the next question, is, do you feel worthy of making that amount of money? And so often we can say intellectually, okay, yeah, sure, I do. But then as you say that, there's this conviction in your chest, or maybe there's a turning in your stomach that you're like, ooh, I don't know if I quite believe that. And for me, that's what I had a coach for, and thank God I did, because I would never have gotten to where I am in my business if I didn't have someone pushing me to believe that, yeah, you are worth that. Yes, you can charge that. And here's why. Here's the value that you're providing. Here's the service. Here's the result that they're going to get. And that is worth what you are charging. And so having someone help you see what you can't see, pushing you to believe that, where I'm like, yeah, what I do offer makes a difference to people. And the more you do it, the more results you see, where I'm like, yeah, I do. I can say that I have those results, and my clients have amazing turnarounds in what they do. So therefore, I totally believe in what I offer. And in doing that, I saw the change and the shift in the success of my business and how that converted to clients, which creates, more abundance. Here's the thing, especially for women, that we tend to do. Do you give away your services for free or charge less than what you're worth? We all want to be friends with everybody. We want everybody to like us, and we want to help everybody. But when we try to help everybody, sometimes we help nobody, and we're definitely not helping ourselves. And I'm not saying, don't ever help and don't ever offer, because I do sometimes in extenuating circumstances where somebody's struggling, and I get it. I know that. I've been there. I was a single mom. I was pregnant on my own. It was my daughter's 18th birthday yesterday. And that was, remembering 18 years ago, I had her on my own because my husband chose to not be there. and really seeing how strong and resilient I am. And so I have a soft spot for women that are struggling and going through stuff like that. So yes, I do sometimes help. But I do it within limitations and healthy boundaries. And it's not because I don't believe in what I'm offering and charging. So I feel like I have to give it away in order for people to say yes. It's not from that space. It's of just wanting to be of service and give back sometimes when people just financially can't have the resources to help get them unstuck. And so I really want you to understand the difference in that and to see, where are you giving yourself away? Where are you selling yourself short? Where are you not believing in yourself to say, I deserve to be compensated for what I'm giving? And understanding that it's an energetic exchange, right? Energy for energy, time for money, service for money. It's a relationship, and it has to be a give and take. Because when you get something for free, you don't value it as much as if you paid for it yourself. And the more you pay for it, the more you value it, right? And we try to teach our kids those lessons, right? I'm not going to hand you everything you want, because if you don't earn it yourself, if you don't buy it yourself, you're not going to take care of it in the same way. Same goes for our services, right? And if you are invested in something, you're going to show up and you're going to put a higher value on that. And we think sometimes we have to charge less to get to people to say yes, but you have to decide if there's value in what you're offering. Are they going to perceive that value if you give it away for free, if you give it away for not enough? So I really want you to consider that and sit with that. Do you fear saying no will make you look like a bitch? I can't say no. People aren't going to like me. They're going to think I'm a bitch. They're going to think, well, who am I? Who am I to say no? So then I feel like I have to say yes to everything. I hear from women all the time, they are afraid to use their voice. They're afraid to believe that what they think, feel, and need matters in this world. And so I want you to know that you have the ability to say no. You have the ability to set boundaries. Another thing too, with money and abundance, it's a relationship, and it's a flowing of energy. So if you are saying yes to everything because you just want the opportunity, and when we start out, we're eager to get started and take opportunities and say yes and put ourselves out there. But I want to caution you to only say yes to the things that are in alignment with you, because it's very easy to, get caught up in the excitement of, I want to be part of this thing. But then when it's not in alignment with you energetically, that's creating an energy relationship that you don't necessarily want. Here's a great example of that. Is I went to a business training by this guy that says he's the most famous person in the world and the richest man in the world, yet I'd never even heard of him. Anyway, he had some good tools in training and business, and I'm sure he knew a thing or two. However, the energy that came with him and the conceit and arrogance and sliminess of the whole thing was such a turnoff. And so it's easy to get sucked into energy and excitement and whatever else is going on. Then I was like, why would I want to learn from someone who's so out of alignment with my core values? Because that's not who I am. That is not how I show up. I am not all about, look at me and my money and my watch and I'm so great. So I don't want to be associated and aligned energetically with that. So if you're partnering with other people or you are creating things, I want you to be mindful of the energy that comes with that. Because is it aligned with your values? Is it aligned with how you show up and how you want to be in the world? Because when you're out of alignment, money can't flow to you and abundance can't flow to you and success can't flow when you're out of alignment. So being mindful of the things that I'm saying yes and no to, are they in my highest good? And am I staying in alignment to myself and to how I want to be in business? Because I believe that's really important. And people want to align with people that feel real and authentic and not arrogant and conceited. So that was such a great learning for me. And I share that with so many people because now I'm very mindful of who I say yes to, because it has to be in alignment. And I feel like I have the right to say no as an entrepreneur and as a businesswoman, to say, this isn't the right fit to me. Am I going to use time and energy and resources to go in a direction that's not going to go where I really want to go. So really understanding that. Here's another question that we all struggle with, and it took me a long time, and I still see that it comes up sometimes for me, is do you struggle charging and asking for the sale and the payment? And so that nervous energy is conveyed to your client. And so they might not know why they feel uncomfortable, but they will feel that uncomfortableness from you. So again, really working on your own mindset, your beliefs on why maybe you feel uncomfortable, to say, hey, here's what I'm offering, here's how much it is, and now I need you to pay me for it. And so I'm lucky enough that, my services are all paid up front. So I don't have to go chase anybody. I don't have to hound anybody to pay. If you're not paid, you don't get the service. And it just makes it so much easier for me. And I know other industries, it's, service first, invoice, and then get paid later. And I just see how many headaches they have collecting and the difficulty around that. So if you can get payment up front for your services, that will create a lot of less time and energy wasted for you that you can put into the things that are going to move your business forward the best. Okay. Here's a really good defining thing on how we show up in money. And it's very interesting to see that sometimes you can have tendencies for both, but do you tend to be a hoarder? You like to hoard and keep your money? And often it's for the fear that it might run out? Or do you like to spend all of your money at the end of the month because you can't seem to ever have a balance left? No matter how much money you're making at the end of the month or at the end of the year, there's really nothing left. And so often we show up in either one of those two categories. Either you're a hoarder or you're the spender. And often hoarders marry spenders, and then there's a lot of conflict. Or you become business partners with someone and you're the hoarder and they're the spender, and you're like, hey man, where's all the money going? And they just believe that they need to spend it all. So they kind of tied it back to, remember when you were a kid and you were eating dinner and they're like, you have to finish everything on your plate? Sometimes we have that belief with money that I got to finish everything that's in my bank account at the end of the month because I don't know when I'm going to spend it again. So I better spend it now before the end of the month. And that's the people that can't seem to get ahead. I've made more money, but at the end of the month, I still don't have any money. I had a girlfriend who got double her salary in an increase when she changed jobs. It still had no money at the end of every month. And I could not believe how you could double your salary and still have no money left. And it's just that mindset, that belief of that's how you show up, no matter how much money you have. If that's how you show up, that's how you're going to show up with even more money. So really looking at that before that happens to create more success so that when it does come and when it does happen, you can actually keep it. So the key in being abundant financially isn't how much you make, it's how much you keep. The other side of that is then hoarding, right? Am I hoarding? Am I hanging on to it all because I fear it might run out? I don't know when there's going to be any more, so I better protect it. I better keep it safe and not spend it for so many reasons. And so I told you earlier that I grew up with my mom being very frugal, and that was a benefit for me for sure. And so seeing how that translated into how I show up, that I often don't spend money on myself. I am not a very frivolous person. I'm not a brand name person. I like to have nice things, but I'm definitely not an abundant shopper or anything like that. I'm a pretty moderate person in the way that I do things, the way I eat, the way I do things. It's pretty middle of the road. But I remember when I started my business, I had a laptop and it was so old. Still worked, but it was old. And then the top broke that I couldn't fold it down anymore, and it had like electrical tape holding the monitor part up. And when I started my business, my girls were like, Mom, why don't you buy yourself a laptop? And I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. Still works. It's good. Still works. I'd still be working on my website if I didn't get a new computer because it was so slow. But I didn't value myself enough to invest in me. And when I saw that, when I was aware of that my kids were the ones that helped me see that I needed to do that I would have bought them something, but I wasn't buying myself something because I didn't honor and value my own worth in that. And so how does that show up where I'm not valuing my own self enough. And so in doing that, there was another example, super funny, but there's these pivotal moments that just kind of illustrate how we think and believe, is that my daughter seemed to have taken all my black socks. It was wintertime, and every morning I tried to get dressed and I had no black socks. And then the ones I did, they didn't match, and I had to try and find the other one, and it was such a pain in the ass. And I did that every single morning for months. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, why don't I just go buy new black socks? Didn't even think about it. Didn't even cross my reality that I could do that for myself, that I could just go buy myself something that I needed instead of having to struggle and go without. And if you're a mom, you totally know what this is all about, that we will go without, we will eat last, we will do all of these things, but we'll do it for everybody else first. Oh, no, I'll go get it for you. I won't go get it for me. I went to Walmart, and it was like $3 for 10 pairs of socks. And I was like, why did I struggle for so long when I could have just bought the frickin' socks? So seeing where are you not investing in yourself, that can also translate to people not investing in you, right? Because if I don't see myself worthy as investing in, why are other people going to invest in me, right? So that energetic relationship, again, comes back to the things that we believe about ourselves and how we show up about for ourselves. So I really want you to see how important those things are that you think aren't really that important. So with everything that's going on right now in our economy, in our isolation, we really have to look at things a completely different way. And I just want to say that I'm sending so much love and light to everybody in this time, that there's a lot of challenge and a lot of difficulty. And I'm not just dismissing any of that. It is real. But I also want you to think, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what do you believe about this new time for us? What do you believe? Do you believe that there's going to be no work? Do you believe that no people will have money to spend and invest in training or in your services or whatever you're offering? Because again, those beliefs are going to create your reality moving forward in this new world and this new economy that is here upon us right now. This is a different time that nobody has ever navigated in society. And what we know from looking back, society is resilient. There's so many things that have come, the plague and depressions and, markets crashing and all of those things, but we have still succeeded. We have still gone on. I believe we live in such an abundant time, whereas, when our parents grew up, if you had a little tiny tent trailer, you were lucky. Most people camped in tents. Taking worldwide tropical vacations every year was not a thing, right? And that's how most of us live right now. We have big, huge trailers, and there's toys, and everyone drives new cars, and everyone travels for the most part. So to see that society can go through so many ups and downs, so many tragedies, and still come out better the other side, we need to believe that for ourselves right now too. We need to believe that for the collective. And I believe if you don't believe that, you're going to struggle. There's going to be a lot more pain and fear and worry around what's going on than if you don't. So really look at, what are you believing right now that's coming for us? And so, yes, it's uncertain times. Yes, it feels, not that great, but how am I going to show up and believe that there can be good that can come from this? That people are shifting what they value, and how do I learn to shift with that? How do I learn to pivot with that? And again, your money mindset is going to be what helps you create more success for yourself. And so all of those things that we just talked about, those are your money blocks, right? Those are the things that are getting in the way of you moving forward and having the abundance that you're looking for. And so each time you're going to level up, you're going to bump up against these triggers again, because they're deep-seated beliefs that you have, right? And so, there's other things that are going to affect how you show up in your business, but I really want you to understand, the importance of that. I'm just going to kind of check in on our time, see how we're doing, because I want to offer as much value as I can for you guys in this time that we have together in our training. And so, what are you willing to do different in this time? What are you willing to change how you're showing up? So, what is the definition of insanity? I talk about this all the time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting a different result. And so, if you are bumping up against these blocks time and time again, you can't move past that with the same thinking, the same actions, and the same beliefs that you have. It's just not going to happen. And so I really want you to understand that you've got to shift. You've got to do something different. And for me, the thing that made the difference for me was having a coach, because I wasn't able to see the places that I was getting stuck. She was able to call me out on the limiting beliefs or the fears that I had moving forward, and having someone pushing me to go further than I thought I could. And you see that in sports all the time, where the coach is pushing the players, the coach is guiding them to see things that they can't see, and the importance of that. And that's what made a huge difference in the success that I had for myself, is having that mentorship, having that guidance is so very, very important. And again, for my clients, the importance of me being there for them to push them. So a lot of my clients have their own business. Most of them are solopreneurs. They have, their gifts that they're sharing in the world, which then feels super vulnerable and intimidating, putting yourself out there, sharing who you are and what you're offering. And, a lot of them had totally held themselves back in business, that they weren't putting themselves out there, even though they wanted to. They were just so afraid and they didn't know how. And so one of my clients shared with me, for years she had wanted to do these circles, these, crystal circles and meditation circles and healing circles, but she was too afraid. And I said, okay, we're going to do one together then. We're going to co-host it together. We're going to call in the tribe. They're going to come and they're going to support you. You're going to feel safe, and I'm going to help you work through this. And she said, if I didn't have a coach, I totally would have chickened out. I completely would have backed out, and I would never have done it. And so knowing that when you have somebody on your team that's cheering you on helps you move forward even quicker. And so she did it. The tribe all showed up. She said, I didn't even feel nervous, because I knew I was in a safe space and I felt loved and I felt supported, and it was easy for me to do that. And since then, the momentum that she's had, and she's created a whole bunch of different circles and offerings that she's got in her business now, because she just had that love and support to move forward. And we had to challenge, like, where are you doubting yourself? Where are you not believing yourself? And really working through those blocks that she had. Another one of my clients was struggling with very similar things that she was, and wanted to get her gifts out in the world, and had the belief that her voice didn't matter. Her opinion didn't matter. And so she knew that she had to really push herself into using her voice and speaking her truth. And so she first took a public speaking course, and she's like, okay, now I'm ready. I want to put my circle out there. And I said, same as the other girl, is like, all right, we're doing this. I'm going to do it with you. I'll be right there. We'll bring in the tribe. You'll feel safe and you'll do it. And she's like, oh my God, it was amazing. And again, I felt super safe to do that. But she's like, I would never have done it had you not helped me. And then I said, the two of you need to get together, because you are so much alike in what you're struggling with, what you want to put in the world. And then they've created events together, and watching them do that and how now they're supporting each other is so beautiful. And I'm so proud of them. And they both just said, I wouldn't have been able to do it without support and guidance. I wouldn't have done it without you. And now watching them support each other and see, just with that little bit of guidance and nudging, what you can create and the abundance that can come from that. So I really want you to open your mind to having support, that we don't have to do this alone. We're not meant to do this alone. And having a tribe and having that support is so critical and key in what you can accomplish for yourself. And so let's talk now about some of the other things that can get in the way of our business and our success. So life happens, chaos happens, quarantine happens, relationship struggles. All of those things get in the way of your business, because when you're struggling in other areas, it's going to reflect where you're struggling in your life. And it will for sure spill over into your business and how you show up. And so again, that's why I believe working on yourself, working on your mindset, having a coach, having mentors are keys to being successful in life and in your business. And the most successful people in business will tell you they all have a coach, they all do personal development, because they know that it's key to work on them, because that's how they show up in business, right? So when you're good, business is good. When your life is struggling, business is struggling, right? It's hard to show up. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to feel motivated to want to do it. And so most often what's in the way is us. It's just us. We could like to blame it on everybody else, but in reality, we are the ones that are getting in our own way. And the great news about that is we are the ones that we have the ability to change. We can't control anybody else, but we can control how we show up. So we have the ability to change. So that's so awesome. But you have to be willing, like I said, to do something different. You have to take action to get different results. And I hear so many women come to me and they're like, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I'm not happy. I'm not getting where I want to be with the counselor that I'm working with, but I'm too afraid to do anything different. I'm just going to stay status quo for so many reasons. And often the lack of taking action is fear. Fear of the unknown. Oh, I don't know what this new thing is going to be, so I'm going to just stay where it's comfortable and messy, because I'm comfortable with comfortable and messy. It feels safe to me. I know what's going to happen in there. This whole unpredictability of I don't know what the possibilities of the future could be. And often we just stay stuck in our smallness because it feels familiar and it feels safe. And so you've probably heard that saying that nothing good happens outside of your comfort zone. You have to stretch, you have to work in moving past all of that to create something different for yourself. And so I want to talk about the fear of what's getting in the way, the fear that's holding you back from the money and the abundance that you want to have. Is where are you holding yourself back in that? And the fear of what might be, or the fear of I'm not good enough. And so then how can you create wealth and abundance in your business if I fear and I don't believe that I'm good enough, or that I shouldn't be doing this thing? And what I want to teach you is that fear is imagined. Think about that for a second. Danger is real. Fear is imagined. Fear is what will they think? What might they say? What could possibly go wrong? Those are all fears. But those are things that have never happened. Those are things that aren't even in your reality. It's just the perception of the what if. It might be, but it might not be. What if it's not? What if it never comes through? I can tell you in my business that all the things that I feared in the beginning of why I didn't want to start never came true. None of them became my reality. And so I really want you to understand that the fear that's holding you back is imagined. So I want you to sit with that for a moment. Where are you not fully showing up? Where are you not showing up? And what might that look like? That might look like procrastination, or not taking action, or saying no to something that you know might be a great opportunity, but you're too afraid. I hear so many people are like, oh my God, I'm terrified to do a Facebook Live, so I just don't. I should show up more in my community, but I'm just not. And so again, all of these things are blocking the abundance and the finance and the resources that you're looking for, because your beliefs and your energy around that isn't aligned, isn't where you need it to be to create the results that you're looking for. So there's also another part to that, another component, where if I don't show up, I can't fail. If I stay small, if I stay stuck, I don't have to put myself out there. And if I don't put myself out there, then there's no opportunity to fail. There's no opportunity to fall. And then I stay safe. Then I can't be judged. Then I don't have to look at, I'm not good enough. Right? But I want to tell you, the only failure is not showing up. That's when you're going to fail. You have to show up. And even if you fall, it's learning. I don't believe there is any failures. I believe it's just opportunities to learn and grow. So why are you holding yourself back? How are you going to create the success and the revenue you desire if you're not showing up? So let's talk about some action steps that you can take in order to create a better relationship with money and the finances that you're looking for. First, let's examine, what do you believe about yourself, about money, about success? And think about that, because that's where you're going to look at where you need to do the work. Right? So I really want you to remember to sit and pause and go back to the beginning of the video where we talked about what those beliefs are and really spend some time reflecting on those, because that's where your growth is going to happen. Next, I want you to really get honest. You got to be honest with yourself, man. Where am I not fully showing up in my business? And you might be like, nowhere, totally showing up. But I'm going to invite you to really look. Where are you procrastinating? Where are you not doing the thing? Where are you not sending out the newsletters, more often than you should? Or where are you not showing up on lives when you know that you should? Or where are you not holding that one event that you really want to, but you're holding yourself back? Right? So fear, resistance, procrastination, limiting beliefs. I can't do that. Or who am I to do that? We've all had that go through our head, as every entrepreneur's had that. Who am I to think that I can show up and do the thing or teach somebody or whatever? And I can share with you that going through 2 divorces was like one of the most humiliating things I ever went through in my life. And I was mortified, and I would never have wanted anybody to know that that was my reality. And that was something that I wanted to keep hidden as a secret. And now I talk about it openly because I know it's just part of my journey. It's not that I'm not good enough, or it's not that I failed. And often that's, the term that's used, a failed marriage. And so when we feel like we failed at something, we feel like a failure in that. And so I had to really work on that I'm not. It's something that happened. It was an experience, and my past doesn't equal my future. And so by doing that, I had to let go of that limiting belief of who am I to talk about relationship, now that I have a beautiful, healthy relationship with my fiance, and he's a coach for men and I'm a coach for women. And then we coach, individually, and we coach couples together. But, originally that would be something that I was like, well, who am I to talk about that? My life was a train wreck, and my relationships, my marriages didn't last. But you have to get over yourself, because we all have gifts and knowledge that we can help other people. And maybe you don't have to help everybody in the world, but if you're one step ahead of somebody, you have the ability to help them and to serve them. Here's another one that we hide behind, and I hear it all the time. I'm not qualified enough. I just need to take another course. I just need to take another thing. I just need to go to another workshop. I need to go to another conference, and then I'll be ready. And we're hiding behind these credentials and these external validations that say, when I have the thing, then I'll be good enough. When I have it, I'll believe in myself. But you have to believe in yourself now, where you're at. Because again, that's getting in the way of the success and the abundance that you want. You just have to take that leap of faith and do the freaking thing. Just do it. Do it afraid. I did it terrified when I started my business. I was terrified to A, start a business, and B, hire a big expensive business coach on unemployment. Like, who does that? But I had faith that this was what I was meant to do in the world. And if I took that leap of faith, then the universe was going to support me and just make that happen for me. And I had that faith and that trust and that belief, and it all worked out, and the money was there, and I made it happen. And it was the best thing that I ever did. So, stop hiding behind all of these things that are holding us back. A great thing that you can do is begin to act as if. Act as if you are successful. Act as if you are abundant. Act as if you are living that life that you want. And so I'm not saying, go into debt and buy things and live in a way that's beyond your means. That's not what I'm saying. But I want you to stop living in lack. I want you to stop living small. I want you to stop seeing yourself that, I'm not worthy of a new laptop or buying myself black socks because I don't have any, right? I need to act as if I am the person that I want to be, and I have the business and the success that I want to have. And so successful people hold themselves differently. They speak about themselves differently. They show up in life differently. So how do you do that? And I love the term success leaves clues. So what do other people do that are successful and abundant, and how can I model those things? And so one of the things we did when I was practicing this was we were taking a trip to Vegas, and here's a perfect example of having a healthy relationship with money and being able to manifest a trip to Vegas. My girlfriend won a trip for two to Vegas to a personal development and business conference, all expenses paid, so hotel, flight, and this conference. And so as we're getting ready to go, I'm booking the parking for the airport before we fly out. And I just been finished listening to the book. It's called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. So write that down. I know it's a crazy title, Get Rich Lucky Bitch. And every woman should read it. And it really talks about where our limitations are in women. As women, what do we believe? What have we been told? How we've been programmed to not believe that we can have this success and abundance for ourselves. And so she said it, act as if. And so as I was about to book the parking, I realized that the valet parking and the regular parking was the same price. And I was like, I'm going to act as if I'm going to get the valet parking, because that's what abundant, wealthy people do. They have valet parking. And so I called my girlfriend and I was super excited. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to valet park because we're fancy. And so that was the joke of our whole trip. When we got there, we were like, we're fancy. We valet. And it just changed how we just kind of held ourselves and how we showed up. And it was just a great thing to joke about. But we felt different because we were acting as if, we didn't have to take the budget route, the lowest route, which is what I would have chosen for myself in the past. That, it's okay to spend an extra couple bucks on myself because I have it and I'm worth it and I can do it. And then I feel differently when I do that. So what are the little things that you can do in life that aren't going to break the bank, but are just going to change how you see yourself and how you show up? So that's one really great tool. Another thing that I want you to do is track all your money coming in, right? We all know where the debt is and the bills are and where the lack is, but are we really tracking the abundance? Are you tracking all of the income that comes in? Are you tracking all of the freebies that you get? Are you tracking all of the bonuses that you have? The prizes that you win, so you can see how actually abundant you really are. Because I'm going to tell you, you're way more abundant than you think you are, but if you're not focusing on it, you're not tracking it, and you're not watching it, you're not going to see it. And so there's a really great app that you can get on your phone, and it's called The Secret of Money. So the book and the movie that came out years ago called The Secret, they did this, and it's called The Secret of Money, and it's an app. And there's affirmations in there, and there's daily pop-ups in there, and there's the opportunity to make a list of the things that you want to manifest. And then there's the list of keeping track of all of the things that you have manifested. And so that's so perfect, because then you can see that you are actually bringing in tens of thousands of dollars. Like if you get a discount on something and you save $200 on it, that's perfect. You can put that in there. If somebody offers you a free workshop, you can put that in there. If you win tickets to something, put that in there to see how abundant you really are and all of the things that are coming into your life. And it changes how you think about yourself and what you believe about your reality, which then creates a different experience for yourself. So like I said, getting the book, Get Rich Lucky Bitch, I would recommend getting the physical copy and the audio copy, because there's activities that you need the book for that you can work through. And the app has a lot of money mindset things that you can just listen to over and over again that shift your mindset. So I would suggest getting both. So I'd also love for you to connect on my website. It's souljourney.co. So again, my name's Michelle Bateman from Soul Journey, and I've been so honored to spend this time with you, to connect with you, to share with you the tools that I use that have made the biggest difference for my life. And so I thank you so much for just staying with me, for doing the work, for investing in yourself. I thank you for the gifts that you're putting out there in the world, and just the faith that it takes to show up for yourself. So I wish you all of the success, and I would love for you to reach out and connect after the fact with me. And I just wish you amazing abundance, prosperity, and love.